Welcome in, Laker fans. I'm Jack Angelucci here for another edition of our Alumni Spotlight, here with some alumni from the Mercyhurst softball team, and let's meet who we have today.
Hi, I'm Courtney Brothers. I graduated in 2016, and I went to school for elementary and special ed, got my master's in special ed at Mercyhurst, and now I'm teaching life skills, kindergarten through third grade in Michigan.
Hi, I'm Colleen Griffin. I graduated in 2014. I studied special education and elementary education. I then pursued my master's and was the first group of Mercyhurst graduate assistants to participate in the pre-K program, where we partnered with the Erie City School District. And I graduated with my master's in 2016, started teaching in Erie, and just moved back to the Youngstown area, Youngstown, Ohio, last year. I now teach a primary MD unit, grades K to 4 in Youngstown City Schools. And I'm actually pursuing my second master's at Mercyhurst, and will have it in teaching excellence as well as a certification to become a principal.
Jeez.
Hi, my name is Heather Nye. I graduated in 2018. I majored in early childhood and special education and had a minor in ESL as well. Then I pursued my master's degree in special education. I am now in my second year teaching in South Carolina. I teach in Greenville, South Carolina at Welcome Elementary, grades 3 through 5, similar to Courtney, a life skills special education classroom.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on the show, first of all. And Colleen, if we can start with you for this first question. Can you just talk a little bit about your recruiting process and kind of how you ended up at Mercyhurst?
So my recruiting process was through a contact. I was a pitcher, and my pitching coach was from Erie, Pennsylvania. His name was Bill Hillhouse. And he said, "Oh, I know the coach at Mercyhurst if you want to try." And softball wasn't something I really thought about pursuing in college. So I had, a tryout, and I went up and pitched. At the time, it was Coach Headley. So I went up, pitched for Coach Headley. She offered me a scholarship. I played for 3 years under Coach Headley, and then Coach Baker came my senior year of school. So all about who you know, I guess.
Right. Definitely. Heather, same question to you.
So softball was my everything from the time I was 6 years old till now. Even I'm still super invested. And I was actually recruited at a tournament back home in Buffalo, New York. Coach Headley actually saw me pitch, and then it transitioned over to Coach Baker, and she came to watch me play as well. So just an awesome experience and awesome place at Mercyhurst. So.
And Courtney?
I agree with Heather. Like, I've been playing softball my entire life, still invested. I was coaching high school varsity until I took this new position in the elementary building, but yeah, super invested in it. I would travel all over the country with my team, and I was also recruited by Coach Headley. She saw me in Columbus, Ohio. I still remember it. And then, so I played with her for under a year, and then Coach Baker came in. But I knew, like, right away when I went to Mercyhurst, I toured so many different campuses, but when I came to Mercyhurst, it really did feel like home. So we always say Hurst is home, but I truly had that feeling.
So Heather, this next question will start with you. Looking back on your years at Mercyhurst, how would you describe the softball program?
So I always tell people when they ask me this, I would not trade those years for the world. I had the most amazing experience my 4 years there. Coach Baker was great, and the girls are lifelong friends. I'm planning on getting married this summer, hopefully, and they're girls that will be there, and just sisters. It was very family-oriented experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Courtney, same question to you.
The same. I mean, I talk to people from high school every now and then, but it was like my college friends. And same thing, like, we still have our group chat, and we've been out of college for a good chunk now, but we still talk every single day like they are my sisters. And like, I loved it so much that I stayed, and I was a GA for Coach Baker as well. So it just really did feel like a family. I know it sounds like cliche, but we really did. Like, we lived together, we eat together, we traveled together, we did everything together. And we were like sisters. We drove each other crazy sometimes, but like, we were so close. So yeah, again, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And that's why I stayed for my master's, because it truly is just the best community.
Colleen?
Not going to sugarcoat it. My first 3 years were awful. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that the 3 years were great. There were some rough things. Thank God for the girls, because like Heather and Courtney said, without the girls, I don't think I would have made it through, and I probably would have quit a lot sooner. And then when Coach Baker came my senior year, I mean, she was a blessing. She gave me the love for softball back again, and I pursued coaching after that. And like, you know, the other two girls said, you know, we live together, we eat together, we travel together. I mean, we're in our business all the time, and we fight like sisters, but we love like sisters. And you know, I'm going to be a maid of honor in one of my teammates' weddings. And I constantly contact these girls. And now that we're all teaching, it's, hey, do you have an idea for this? Or do you have an idea for that? So that was great too. And, you know, now to see teammates have babies and get married, and it's nice to be able to stay in touch with them and actually genuinely like each other and not just have to be forced on a bus together. We actually do genuinely have a connection. So, I mean, overall, it was a great experience. There were some rough patches, but it taught you a lot about life too.
Very cool. Very cool. So Courtney, we'll start with you for this next question. So what are your favorite memories you have at Mercyhurst? Maybe one memory involving softball, and then one, you know, outside of sports.
Just one. I don't even know if I can pick like a single memory. I remember games in like certain innings. I could tell you a certain play, but like I think overall my favorite memories were probably like on the bus, and I mean after hours at like at our townhouse and all that stuff. But like I just think we really connected on our trips and traveling and staying in the house together. And when we were spring training in Florida, gosh, I can't think of like a single memory, but like outside of softball too, I think just teaching. And I brag about Mercyhurst education all the time. Like I'm so proud of what I learned and where I came from. I had great experiences with that. And again, like what Colleen said too, I know like Heather and I and Colleen and I, we still talk about like, hey, can you send me something for like this student or that student? Have you ever seen this behavior before? Like, so I know we still have like those things, but I can't pick like a certain memory. I feel like I'm blanking though.
Colleen, same question to you. What are your some of your favorite memories at Mercyhurst?
Same thing. I mean, overall, like just spending time with the girls and doing those obnoxious softball cheers that you can't wait to get rid of, but when you don't have them anymore, you do miss them. I think the biggest softball memory that stands out for me was my senior year when we played Cal. That was probably the best game I've ever had in my collegiate career. So that one always sticks with me. I think we beat them. I don't really pay attention to scores. I mean, but I do remember it just being like the highest feeling I've ever felt. Like I just remember it was one of my peak performances. And then Mercyhurst moment, I mean, literally that's where I became my own. So I think every moment was, you know, special and everything happened. And, but I think honestly, some of the stuff with Professor or now Dr. Johnson, I think anything with her would probably be the highlight of Mercyhurst because she is hilarious and so knowledgeable. So anything with that, I feel like would be grounds covered for a great memory.
And Gleck Williams.
Oh, yes. They all are great. Let's just say that. So we don't single everyone out, but.
And Heather?
Yeah, like the girl said, the bus, the trips, staying in a house together in Florida on spring break, those are always some of the best memories. And then I would have to say, well, I wouldn't say it then, was the toughest times at Mercyhurst when you were running an extra sprint or doing some extra training because something didn't go right. And the time you didn't think that was a good memory, but now looking back, it taught you a lot and you just grew from it. So those are things you keep with you, even though maybe at the time they might not have been your favorite.
So the miles up the hills is what you're talking about, right?
Or 300 sprints.
Yeah.
They help you grow as a person. And then outside of softball, and I guess kind of tied into softball, one of my favorite things was, although I never got to play with Colleen, I got to do a lot of my observation hours in her classroom. So that was really cool to shadow a former softball player that I didn't get to play with and get to watch her teach as well. And it all come full circle and come together. So I really enjoyed being with Colleen in her classroom.
Oh, thank you. That's a good one. Good call. That was a good one.
All right. So next question here. Colleen, we'll start with you for this one. What's one word of advice you would have given to your freshman self now looking back?
That's a good one. I guess in terms thinking about my whole experience with Mercyhurst would be let loose, have fun. Don't stress all the things. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. And don't give a, what anyone thinks. So I think those 4 years, if I would have embraced that from the beginning, might have gone a little bit differently, but I think towards the end, that's where I got. So I think just, enjoy college. You only get 4 years. And then next thing you know, you're 7 years into teaching and you're almost 30 and you go, when did that happen? So just enjoy every single moment. As much as you want to grow up and think, oh, I want to do this or that, I can't wait to get that career and have real adult money. Like, these are your golden years. So really soak it in.
Heather?
Oh, goodness. Maybe don't go to Egan so much. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely just putting yourself out there and not being afraid to meet new people outside of your little team, because you never know what friendships you can develop at Mercyhurst. And like Colleen said, just cherish every little moment. I know it sounds cliche, but you look back and are like, oh, I wish I could go back and live in that townhouse with those 6 girls. I wish I could go back on the softball field. So never take anything for granted and just live in the moment, for sure.
Definitely. Courtney?
The same. I mean, college went by so fast, and I think I wanted to stay in my grad school right after I graduated undergrad because I wasn't ready to leave my favorite place. And I still think Erie's the best place on earth. And so again, yeah, just don't take it for granted. And I would also say, again, put yourself out there, but be true to yourself, but learn who you are. I know my freshman year, I can't even think of freshman year me compared to now. I really did grow and develop, and I became who I am today. So I just think, put yourself out there, but enjoy every minute of it, but just be true to yourself too. And rely on your teammates because they really are your sisters. So it was so nice to be able to go to them for anything.
All right. Last question before we let you guys go here. Heather, we'll start with you. What would you say the biggest life lesson you learned on the field at Mercyhurst was, as well as the biggest lesson you learned off the field?
Oh, goodness. That's a good one. On the field, I think knowing that people have your back, and that's in life and in sports, your teammates had your back. No matter what you went through, ups and downs, at the end of the day, those people had your back. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from on the field. Off the field, let's see. I think just going back again to putting yourself out there, staying true to yourself, asking people for help if you need it. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. There's so many resources out there, especially at Mercyhurst. So just putting yourself out there, staying true, and asking for help if you need it.
Courtney, same question to you.
I would say, I think it's both on the field and off the field. We always say, if you play baseball or softball, it's a game of failure. If you are 3 out of 10, you're doing great. But in real life, it seems like, oh, that kind of stinks. So I just think getting used to failure and being comfortable with it, but learning from it as well. I know when I played, Colleen and Heather, you both saw me on the field. I was very, very hard on myself. And I still am to this day, but I think I'm still learning how to take that failure and make it a positive. And I still say, and I know Baker always told us too, control the controllables. And even on my whiteboard in my classroom, that's my big title, is control the controllables. So I just think that, and just learning how to accept failure.
Sorry, he's so cute.
I'm really sorry.
You have a friend.
Oh.
Yeah, Colleen, same question to you.
So growing up, like Heather and Courtney said, softball was my life from the time I was 5. And what I've always been taught is that sports are a good metaphor for life. So learning one thing on the field translates into life lessons. The biggest thing I learned on the field, though, at Mercyhurst was learn how to, like Courtney said, take failure or take change. You might have been a star player in high school, but maybe only played a little bit in college. And that's really hard to adjust to, but you have to understand it's a bigger team. It's collegiate. It's different. It's a different level. And also learning, just to let things roll off. Don't let things show. So as a pitcher, one of the biggest things was, I was always taught is if I should look at a pitcher and not know if she's got 7 home runs off of her or if she has a perfect game going. You should be like a brick wall. So yeah, you can give yourself little excitement, but don't let that show. Let your controllables, make yourself just one thing, just stay there and be focused and keep your eyes on the prize. And then as far as a life lesson, I think I learned just trust yourself, trust your instincts, and learn what's best for you and trust that. And, you know, if you have people that are trying to help you, accept their help, accept their guidance and their insight, but, you know, you're not alone, but still be true to yourself and trust yourself.
Well, guys, appreciate you coming on the show. And Laker fans, make sure you catch our next episode of Alumni Spotlight right here on HurstAthletics.com. Jack Angelucci signing off, and go Lakers.